Être un bon traiteur, c'est être intransigeant sur la qualité. On ne fait du bon qu'avec le meilleur. C'est être impitoyable sur les recettes. Quand c'est bon, il n'y a rien à ajouter, rien à enlever. C'est être irréprochable sur le goût. Il faut prendre du plaisir pour en donner. Voilà, pour être un bon traiteur, il faut être intraitable.
Parfaitement intraitable.
Hello and welcome to a rather sunny Paul Ricard this morning. Pretty chilly out there at the moment though, only around 9 degrees air temperature, so get your jackets on because it is still pretty cold out there, and these tyres on these Hoosier Formula Cup cars will take a couple of moments to warm up. There you see the cars heading to the grid, just weaving to get a little bit of heat in those tyres. Hoosier joining us this year is our main title sponsor for the Formula Cup for the full season, and we are happy to have them alongside us. We will be heading down to the grid very shortly. Chris Stevens is down there. So let's hear from Chris Stevens, who's on the grid.
You join us down on the grid for the start of race 2 of the Hoosier Formula Cup. Nano Lopez here had a pretty difficult start to the race yesterday, but is fighting back hard and starts third on the grid. We're going to try and have a quick word with Nano. Hey, so it was a difficult start yesterday, but you fought back well.
Yeah, I messed up the start and that compromised our whole race. But yeah, obviously we're going to try and do our best today to maybe fight for the win. But yeah.
Hugh and Dylan look pretty ominous out there. Can you take the fight to them?
I think in quali we were 20 tenths off Hugh. Yeah, we were ahead of Dylan. But yeah, in quali 2 I was a bit behind. So yeah, I think we may be able to fight them. But yeah.
Well, excellent. Good luck out there. And he's absolutely right. It was only 27 thousandths of a second between himself and the man who's starting on pole position, Hugh Barter, in Q1. Slightly different story in Q2 earlier on. And the man who's just pulling up behind Nano Lopez here is the rookie, Matteo Valente. He's only just started his single-seater campaign. Yesterday was his first ever single-seater race, only done a year and a half in karting. Absolutely astonishing stuff when you consider how much grief he gave Nano Lopez during that race in their battle for the podium places. Claire's mentioned that it is a little bit chilly this morning. The wind is sort of somewhat consistent, which is helping, but these Hoosier tyres are going to be going through a slightly different challenge compared to a much warmer race in race 1 yesterday. So, with the 3-minute board now being shown, let's go back up to the commentary teams.
Thank you so much for that, Chris. Lovely to hear from Nano Lopez. It was very close in qualifying. If you missed that, you can watch it back on the stream, of course. So any questions about the qualifying will all be answered on that. So 3-minute board is being shown then here in Paul Ricard. Nano Lopez did take part in last season. He didn't do the entire season, though. He only actually did the final round, and he picked up 3 third places in overall and in class, and unfortunately retired in the final race. But he has been looking incredibly strong, has the rookie, and this time round with TS Corsa, the Argentinian, joining us and hopefully can stay. This is pole position then for Hugh Barter. Won the race yesterday pretty comfortably in the end. He was being chased down by Dylan Estra, who starts second on the grid, with Nano Lopez just behind in third. And then, as Chris was talking about, Matteo Valente starting fourth. on the grid. Also another rookie. The rookie's taking over for this one, you have to say. And then Aaron Ferrazzano in 5th place. Laurent Vutic in 6th. That's Frederic Boileau, who will be starting a little further down is Frederic Boileau. Desperately trying to find him on my grid at the moment. He is down in 11th. My apologies for not seeing that quicker. He's a gentleman driver, and he has finished 2nd in the 13 inches last season. So that is Solina Rouge, who actually got a penalty for yesterday. Unfortunately, did start in the points, but tumbled down the order after picking up a penalty, a 10-second time penalty for causing a collision. So unfortunately for Solina Rouge, I think it was still enough for points in the end and finished 10th, but unfortunate for her on her first Formula Cup race. So let me just take you down the grid just quickly. "20 minutes of this racing will get underway very shortly. Formation lap very important here with the cold conditions to get some heat into those tyres ahead of the race. And it's Hugh Barter who will start on pole position. Just behind him is Dylan Estra. Nano Lopez lines up alongside him. Matteo Valente in 4th. Aaron Ferrazzano in 5th. Laurent Vutic in 6th. Orban Robert Prince will start 7th. Formation lap getting underway. 8th will be Christophe Ernie, and 9th will be Gilles Depierre. Rounding up the top 10 is Alain Boucher. Frederic Boileau in 11th. Frederic Morahan in 12th. Solina Rouge in 13th. 14th will be Walter Ricard. 15th will be Alessandro Lima. Philip Darrick in 16th, Craig McClatchy in 17th, and rounding up the 18 drivers at the back will be Thierry Mallon. So it is top rookies leading the way with Hugh Barter, Winfield Racing joining us, and this is how they are lining up. Hugh Barter, Estre, Nano Lopez, Valente, Ferrazzano, and then Vutic lining up the top 6. Robert Prince, Ernie, Gilles Depierre, Alain Boucher, Frederic Boileau, and Thierry Mallon having an issue in that last race, and will start from 18th on the grid. Lovely conditions out there for racing this morning. We've seen no sign of rain at all in the south of France. If you've never been down this end of the world, it is beautiful around here. We're only about 2 hours from Monaco, really, as the crow flies, and we've got some beautiful views as as we were driving in this morning, overlooking the sea, and it really is one of the most beautiful areas of France. Is the French Riviera. So if you want to know a little bit more about the man on pole position, he was born in Japan, and he is a pretty experienced driver already. Been racing in Formula 3 Championship in 2023 for Campos Racing, and he also was runner-up in the Spanish F4 and French F4 in both 2021 and 2022. And only at 19 years old, coming in for Winfield Racing, he's definitely someone to watch out for in this championship. Alongside him, though, is Dylan Estra, who has done a couple of rounds here at the Formula Cup. Again, not a full season, so comes in as a rookie for Formula Motorsport, aged just 16 years old. He is the little brother of Kevin Estra, a very famous GT driver. Many things Kevin Estra has done. If you've never heard of his name, take a look at him, because he's done a lot of things as a French motor racing driver. He's currently competing, I believe, in WEC for Porsche. And yeah, interesting to see the talent coming through the family as well. So the final few cars line up at the back. And we are getting ready to go racing for 20 minutes around Circuit Paul Ricard. So medical car just slots in at the back. And we wait for the lights to turn off. 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 lights, and they will turn off and we will go racing in Circuit Paul Ricard. Good start there again from the man on pole position, Hugh Barter. A brilliant start, launches himself up. Nano Lopez getting a little bit bogged down behind there. Not a great start again from him. Dylan Estra, a good start from him in 2nd place though, but it looks like Nano Lopez is under pressure once again behind from Matteo Valente. So they all peel through the first few corners unscathed, and already Hugh Barter has managed to put up quite a lead, but chased down once again by Dylan Estra behind. Bit of a lock up there from someone a little bit further behind, going in a bit too hot on these cold tyres into turn 4 and 5, and they're all locking up a little bit at the back there. That's Craig McClatchy having a fight with Gilles de Pierre back further behind, probably for around 16th or 17th. And Craig McClatchy looks like he's the winner out of that one, and Gilles de Pierre must yield behind him. And at the front though, it's Hugh Barter leading the way from Dylan Estra. Nano Lopez still holding on to 3rd place at the moment from Matteo Valente, and Aaron Ferrazzano just behind as they all make their way around 8 and 9 up to turn 10. And Dylan Estra really putting the pressure on at the front once again. We saw this battle, and it feels like this might be the battle we're going to see all season of Hugh Barter versus Dylan Estra. And Nano Lopez in the fight as well. Philip Darroch there has fallen to the back of the grid after must have had a struggle there, a bit of a twitch heading into turns 4 and 5 there for into turns 10 rather for turn 10. Let's try that again, shall we? To the into 13, 14, 15, I should say. Back onto the start finish straight. I'm just saying numbers. Team manager has been told to head to race control for car number 83, and that is Auburn Robert Prince, the gentleman driver. So I doubt we'll find out really what happens there until the next race if there is an issue. The 2 at the front now really pulling away from the back of the pack. Nano Lopez seems to have found a bit of fresh air from Matteo Valente too. Matteo Valente joining us for the first round here. And he is a rookie, of course, but actually pretty rookie indeed, because he's only done a year and a half in karting, and it's actually his first year in car racing. So not a bad place to start, already sitting 4th. And yesterday finished the race exactly there as well in 4th place. So Artline Virage will be pleased with his performance so far. And let's see if he can put up a fight against Nano Lopez. Just behind Matteo Valente is Aaron Ferrazzano, who is also new, but he has a lot of experience in karting, does that rookie. He's the karting champion for the Euro Cup 2024, also another champion in 2022, and he's the Dutch champion in karting in 2021 from Belgium for Winfield Racing as well, car number 58, which is just behind Nano Lopez. So that's Laurent Vutic being chased down by Christophe Ernie for 6th and 7th place. Christophe Ernie did join us for some races last year. He's also a Ferrari Challenge driver, so he's got a lot of experience, but maybe less so in the single-seaters. Been racing since 2021, and he has raced alongside Jean Alesi. He's got a big catalogue of racing that he's done, because he was in a talent search in 1983, was Christophe Ernie, in the gentleman category, and he did race alongside Jean Alesi and various other people. Not sure he won the talent search, but he definitely raced alongside them. And he's racing for sports promotion this time round, but he has got a vast amount of racing experience under his belt. Not just that, he's even got his own Wikipedia page. That's when you know you've made it. So Kubarta still leads the way at the front. Dylan Estra in second. Nano Lopez still in third at the moment. And Matteo Valente not able to get past him there. This is Frederick Morahan and Craig McClatchy behind. Craig McClatchy in car number 10 in Winfield Racing. Not had the best campaign. He's been marred by quite a lot of bad luck and technical gremlins. And unfortunately, in the first race yesterday, he was in the pit lane with technical issues on that Winfield Racing car, which is not ideal this early in the championship. The 62-year-old did take part in 2 rounds in 2024 in Portugal and Paul Ricard, and he has raced quite a lot in Australia. So I'm not sure if he still lives in Australia and he's coming over for these each weekend, but he's done lots in New South Wales and Australia Formula Open 2023 and also racing the Radicals. He finished 18th overall last season. That wasn't really a true reflection because he was always there or thereabouts, but picked up quite a few issues. Here then is Solène Arouche trying to get past Walter Ricard, and Walter Ricard goes wide, and in that time also lets Gilles de Pierre through. Yellow flags are out in turn 11. Can't see why at the moment, but they'll have to yield it. It's got green again now, so it must have been just a spin. So Solène Arouche manages to get herself past past Walter Ricard rather, and I think they're battling down for 13th and 14th at the moment. Kubarta once again enjoying a nice leisurely Sunday drive. Dylan Estra behind, not able to really put the pressure yet on Kubarta, but he's still staying with him there or thereabouts. Just can't seem to find a way to get round him at the moment. Nano Lopez just swinging past behind them, and then Valente and Ferrazano behind, and Ferrazano looks like he might be launching an attack on Valente, who's now massively dropped back from Nano Lopez. Can he do it there, heading into turns 8 and 9? Not quite there, but he's pretty close behind in his Winfield Racing machinery, but not close enough to launch a pass. Leaders come past our screens, as well as Nano Lopez, who's got a bit of a lonely race at the moment, chasing down the top 2. But these two remain to battle for 4th and 5th. No podium places really here to be fighting for, because all the top are rookies as well. The top gentleman driver at the moment is Laurent Vutic. So of course this championship is a great place for young drivers to come and get involved. Oh, here we go then. Is this going to be the move from Matteo Valente to get back what he's just lost from Aaron Ferrazano? Ferrazano goes a little wide there into the final corner, and Matteo Valente will look to see if he can get it back. So the Winfield Racing driver does manage to get past in the end in the final few corners of the lap there, but he pulls to the inside of the track. Oh, that's a bit of a nudge there from Aaron Ferrazano to say absolutely not letting you through. There was no touching or anything, so there shouldn't be an issue there with the stewards, but this battle does continue now, and unfortunately Matteo Valente has to slot in behind, but he's looking to go round the outside here into the right-hander. Oh, and he loses the rear just slightly then. I think that would mean that at that point Aaron Ferrazano stays in front. So this here then is the battle a little further back. So this is a little further back then, is the battle for 10th, 11th, 12th. And Craig McClatchy, Frederick Boileau and Soline Amrouche. And there is Alain Boucher in car number 68, being chased down at the moment by Frederick Morahan. Nano Lopez setting a fast lap out there, obviously got a bit of clean air. And this is Gilles de Pierre then, having another little battle with Soline Amrouche. And he goes a bit wide there, and he's going to lose a lot of time doing that way round, a little bit slower than if he took the racing line. Gilles de Pierre joining us again this season. Nice to see him in the pink livery. And this is Laurent Vutic leading the gentleman drivers, being hunted down by Christophe Erny. And he looks like he might be able to do it here. And he is going around the inside, gets the cutback. Oh no, we've got someone coming into the pits. Unfortunately, that is Alexandre Lima. And unfortunately, that's unfortunate with 9 minutes left on the clock, but Alexandre Lima coming into the pit lane, and there's no mandatory pit stops here, so unfortunately that's an issue for Alexandre Lima, who didn't again do the full season with us last time, but has joined us for a couple of rounds, and unfortunately doesn't look like he's going to finish this race. So up the front still then, Hugh Barter leading the way, and definitely pretty comfortably at the moment. Dylan Estra not able to challenge an attack here or put much pressure really onto Hugh Barter, who again has been racing a bit wide there, lost the end and a bit of an oversteer heading into that final corner. But Dylan Estra not able here to challenge much of an attack on Hugh Barter. And Hugh Barter, like I said, is a very experienced driver. Nano Lopez is having a lovely time out there, set the fastest third sector with a bit of clear air. And then just behind is this battle that we saw earlier between Aaron Ferrazzano and Matteo Valente, and Valente has had to stay behind him. But I think he'd still be pretty happy with the 5th place that he's currently running in, considering he's very new to racing in a actual race car, and these cars are very different from obviously racing in karting. So this championship is designed to help young drivers looking to climb the ladder in motorsport, and we've seen it happen with our champion last year, Enzo Richer, who's now racing in the prototype and the GT Sprint, I believe. Just double check that, but he's definitely in the prototype. And pretty successful day yesterday in the 4-hour race as well. As yellow's out in the first sector, and doesn't look like anyone stopped on screen. Alexandre Lima is being shown by the timing screen to be going back out, so whatever gremlins they found, he's obviously going back out, and that's why that's Craig McClatchy. And he's got a little lick of flames there, but it shouldn't be too bad. Hopefully that's just the brakes maybe heating up or something. But Craig McClatchy has had so many issues within this number 10 Winfield racing car. And once again, that could have just been a spin and he couldn't get it going again. But he has got it going now, has Craig McClatchy. But unfortunately, tumbles down the order, or at least losing a couple of spots. Meanwhile, his teammate Hugh Barter leading the way in car number 22. And looks to take his 2nd win if it stands like this. And Dylan Estra unable really to have much to shout about. Nano Lopez, though, has really pulled away from Aaron Ferrazzano and Matteo Valente, but still unable to catch the pack. And that's Auburn Robert Prince just at the back of that pack in his lovely looking golf livery, but he's at the moment staring down the back of Christoph Ernie, and I think another car that was out of position there, so I have to double check. That, however, was Alain Boucher, and unfortunately the bollard has been knocked down again at turn 5. So unfortunate there. Turns 5 and 6, that poor bollard is taken a bit of a hammering over the last few days. So they will have to, it's on the racing, well, yeah, it's on the racing line, so might have to move that before the end of the race. As no yellows out yet as it stands. The debris has been reported at turn 5, so hopefully that will get sorted out pretty quickly. But yes, to be a marshal at turn 5, fixing that bollard every 10 seconds. It could have been where I didn't actually see where Craig McClatchley went off. I thought it was at turn 11. But I didn't think it was down at turn 5, but he could have been the one that hit the bollard. I have to check back where those yellows came out. But the way it works in the Hoosier Formula Cup is they get 2 30-minute practice sessions ahead of the race weekend, and then they have 2 15-minute qualifying sessions as well, which decides the grid. Their fastest time decides the first race, and the second race is decided by the second fastest time. And then we've got 3 races which are 20 minutes long. But it's the Tatus F3 T318 that they're out racing in, and that debris is still there. But it does give young drivers especially a chance to really hone their skills, and obviously gaining lots of valuable experience for the next steps of their career. And like I said, Enzo Richer is a prime example of that, moving up to the next category after winning the championship in 2024. So it's a good place for young drivers to come and try out their machinery to move forward in their careers. So this battle here then is Frédéric Morahan, Frédéric Boileau and Solian Amrouche. That's Frédéric Boileau, and he finished second in the championship overall, just behind Enzo Richer. He did a whole season in 2024, and his best finish was 3rd place in Hockenheim and 3rd place in Mugello. Also 2nd place in Paul Ricard in race 1. He's been racing for about 8 years, so he's been doing it for a little while now, just shy of a decade. 54-year-old in the gentleman category. The leaders then coming past the start-finish straight, so this probably will be the final lap of the race, because a lap round here is just over 2 minutes. Oh, bit of a twitch there from Hugh Barter. Not often we see him lose the rear, and you could see the snap of oversteer as he tried to gain control, and thankfully didn't lose it, because if he had, Dylan Estra behind would have said, thank you very much, I'll take that win, but didn't at that point. So it looks like Hugh Barter will continue in the lead and pick up his 2nd win of the championship, because this will be the final lap, because we've only got 40-odd seconds left on the clock, and a lap round here is too long to make that happen. So I'm very much expecting to see the graphics say final lap anytime soon, and he will be shown the checkered flag at the end of this lap. 30 seconds left on the clock, not enough time to do another lap. So Winfield Racing looking to pick up their second win of the season, and a good place to start really for Hugh Barter, who has so far dominated this championship, and we've only had 2 races. So the third race is coming up very shortly. These drivers don't have a long time to reset and go again, because we have the third race of the season will be at 11:35. So this for now though is a very dominant display from Hugh Barter once again, who is making his mark on the championship and showing what skill he has around this track. And there's a spin there for Thierry Malholm, who was down in 15th anyway, but it is Winfield Racing who will be at the line waiting to cheer on their man, Hugh Barter, who once again from pole position takes the win. It's 2 out of 2 for Hugh Barter. He has extended the championship lead, and we're only 2 races in. Hugh Barter is definitely one to be watching this championship. Dylan Estra then crosses the line just behind, and Nano Lopez in third. Aaron Ferrazano crosses the line in fourth. This is Solien Amrouche still battling it out a little bit further down in 11th, looking to get points in this one from Frederick Boileau. And Christophe Herney is going to win in class, in the gentleman class as well, as he crosses the line in 6th overall from Laurent Vutic, Aubin Robin Prince in 8th, and Frederick Morahan in 9th. Frederick Boileau is the 10th on across the line, and Solien Amrouche will have to finish in 11th after putting the pressure on Frederick Boileau. And then rounding up the top 18 is Alain Boucher, Walter Ricard, Gilles de Pierre, Thierry Malholm, who might have dropped a little bit after a spin. We'll see where he crosses the line. Doesn't look like he has crossed the line actually, so Philip Darroch has already crossed the line in 18th, so anyway, it is Hugh Barter though, is when that's Gilles de Pierre we're watching just there, who finished down in 13th. And his pink livery, which he had last year. Walter Ricard just behind. Walter Ricard joining us again this championship. Nice to see him again. He raced in the 17 inches in Paul Ricard last year. And then the 13 inches all season, he finished 5th overall. So nice to see him back. But all eyes on this man, Hugh Barter, who I think is going to be pretty challenging this season. And I think he's going to be one to watch for the future. Obviously, been racing in Formula 3, so he's got the experience under his belt. He just needs some time behind the wheel now to really hone his skills. And then I'm sure this will be a great advert in the Hoosier Formula Cup for other people to snap him up if he's looking to go endurance racing. This is a good place to start showcasing your talent. And this will be a driver that people will be looking at with great interest, because he has so far been incredibly strong and almost looking a bit untouchable out there. Nano Lopez then peels into the pit lane and will line up 3rd alongside Hugh Barter. A good performance from him. And Dylan Estra once again will have to settle for 2nd place from this man, Hugh Barter. Here comes Dylan Estra then. I don't know how he got stuck behind other drivers. Maybe did a slow outlap. Not outlap. Warm down lap. So hopefully we'll be able to hear from Hugh Barter, and he can tell us if he thought it was as easy as it looked. Because he did have a few niggles last time out yesterday, but still looked pretty commanding. So let's see if we can head down to Chris and speak to Hugh Barter, who is alongside.
Yes, I'm with our race 2 winner, Hugh Barter, and that almost looked like a carbon copy of race 1.
Yeah, I mean, I say the gap to Dylan behind was a lot more calming for me. You know, he didn't put as much pressure. We changed a couple of things. It was better, but can still definitely improve.
Bit cooler today than it was yesterday. How did that affect things out there?
To be honest, during the race, not so much. I think the start was a bigger issue. I was really focusing on trying to get some rear tire temp so that I had some traction at the start, and it seemed to pay off. So
yeah, you flew away off the line.
Yeah. I think it was actually better than my start yesterday. So try and replicate that for race 3.
All right, I tried to ask you this yesterday, but we had some technical issues down here in pit lane. Can you confirm if you're going to be with us for the rest of the season?
I can't say yes or no. Not sure, but yeah, we'll find out in the coming rounds.
All right, we'll keep an eye out for some news from you, Hugh. It's been a great weekend so far. Any thoughts, comments, concerns for race 3?
No, not really. Just try and replicate race 1 and 2.
Fair enough. Okay, congratulations once again. I'm going to try and sneak a word with Dylan Est. He's had 2 second-place finishes so far this weekend. Dylan, c'était serie avec Barter, no?
Yeah. In French or English?
Oh, do whatever you prefer.
Okay. He's faster, and I try to follow him, but he's faster.
Okay. Fair enough. Well, he might not be here for the full season, so that puts you in a good position.
Yeah. The season is long, and we will see after.
All right, excellent. Thanks for trying it in English. I learned that French just for you to come and do this interview, but well done.
Thank you.
All right. Well, that wraps up the action here from the pit lane for the Hoosier Formula Cup race number 2. One more race still to come later on today. So we will see you for the final race of the weekend.
So lovely to hear from Dylan Estre and Chris speaking French. Who knew? Right, Hoosier Formula Cup. Overall then, Hugh Barter leading the way once again. Dylan Estre, Nano Lopez 3rd, Ferrazzano 4th, Valente 5th, Ernie 6th, Vutic in 7th, 8th was Auburn Robert Prince, Morahan Boileau, Amarouche, Boucher, Dipierre, Ricard and Thierry Malholm, and Alessandro Lima is classified down in 16th. And then Craig McClatchy and Phil Darroch in 18th. Rounding up the top drivers. So that was quite a good race. So let's have a look at what we saw from the highlights from Circuit Paul Ricard for race 3.
Être un bon traiteur, c'est être intransigeant sur la qualité. On ne fait du bon qu'avec le meilleur. C'est être impitoyable sur les recettes. Quand c'est bon, il n'y a rien à ajouter, rien à enlever. C'est être irréprochable sur le goût. Il faut prendre du plaisir pour en donner. Voilà, pour être un bon traiteur, il faut être intraitable.
Parfaitement intraitable.
l'instant, c'est la numéro 33, me semble-t-il, avec Jean Michaud, qui évoluait, en tout cas qui pour l'instant prend en 3e position. On espère que ça va pouvoir repartir pour lui, il a quelques échanges. Voir peut-être un petit peu. Comment ça va ici à l'intérieur? Tout se passe bien?
quoi, je chope les deux là? a d'autres là. Il y en a d'autres qui arrivent derrière.
We're gonna